Don't take all day.
About time.
Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're facing down Ragnarok and taking on the 10 hardest bosses in God of War Ragnarok. For this list, we'll be looking at the bosses that pose the greatest challenge to the God of War as he and Atreus attempt to survive the end of the 9 realms. Beware, there will be spoilers ahead. What was the most difficult boss you faced in God of War Ragnarok? Let us know down in the comments. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Vanadis. Although not the most challenging Valkyrie fight Kratos and Atreus have faced, Vanadis still provides enough of a challenge to give PTSD to anyone who saved the Valkyries from their curse in the previous game. While normally maintaining a safe distance would be a viable tactic during these fights, not so with Vanadis, as in addition to her devastating close quarters attacks, she can strike at Kratos and Atreus from afar with her bow. As the fight progresses, she can even coat the battlefield in poison, leeching health from Kratos and even Atreus if they're not careful. The revelation that Vanadis is Freya in her Valkyrie form adds an emotional weight to the preceding fight, witnessing her grief as she holds nothing back in her quest for revenge. Garm.
It's okay, boy. It's all right. Just calm. Calm. We just want to...
There aren't many giant enemies to fight in Kratos' Norse adventures, but when there are, you can rest assured they are worth the wait. After mistakenly freeing Garm from his shackles in hell, Kratos and Atreus must stop the giant wolf before he tears down all of the 9 realms. But Garm isn't going to go back to his chains willingly. His enormous size doesn't slow him down whatsoever, and his bite is definitely worse than his bark. Garm even manages to use his chains against the pair to keep them at bay, but this only ends up creating a window Kratos is quick to exploit. And just when you think you've put this bad boy down for good, Garm returns to finish the fight and even manages to put Kratos on the back foot. Luckily, there's a happy ending for this giant puppo.
Fen? Are you?
Alva. It wouldn't be a proper trip to Alfheim without one of the High Elves trying to prevent the father and son duo from leaving. After taking out the Dark Elf King in their previous adventure, now the Light Elf Queen stands in their way. Whereas the Elf King focused on brutality, Alva uses her speed to her advantage as she gracefully slides around the arena, slicing at Kratos with every pass and dishing out elemental attacks from afar. Alva also has the ability to heal herself at will, rendering all the damage done up to this point meaningless. The game's focus on defensive shield capabilities comes in very handy here if you've managed to get the hang of the timing, and if not, you're going to be in for an unending uphill battle, especially with absolutely no help from the Aesir God of War. Nidhogg.
Come on!
With Odin's curse on Freya bound in the roots of the World Tree, the Nidhogg was unfortunately only doing its job protecting the roots when it crossed paths with Kratos and Freya, but as it stood in their way, there was really no choice for either party. The Nidhogg is ferociously unrelenting, and Kratos must keep the beast's attention while Freya attempts to break the roots. Once Freya joins the fight, the Nidhogg unleashes all manner of attacks it was apparently holding back. From tail lasers and opening realm tears to attack from all sides, Kratos is more than grateful to have Freya fighting alongside him rather than against him. Eventually the pair wear the Nidhogg down enough that it attempts to escape, but as long as it lives, Freya will never be free, and sadly, a Nidhogg sacrifice was necessary for that to happen.
I have to break his hold on me, and you are in the way! Bless the ripple!
Hissed and missed.
Valkyries! Odin must have sent them!
Santa Monica Studios clearly heard how much gamers loved the challenge of the Valkyries, so they decided to give players double the fun. Hissed and Mist team up against Kratos and Atreus as they attempt to bring about Ragnarok, and are willing to do anything to stop that from happening. Despite the reflex memories gamers might still have from their previous bouts with the Valkyries, taking on two at once is a whole different kind of challenge. This isn't even mentioning the fact that once you think the fight is done, the pair heal themselves and come back stronger and faster than the last time. The duality of the Valkyries teaming up aligns perfectly with Kratos and Atreus' synchronization in battle, as the pair team up to clip their wings and keep them grounded for good. Thor. Undoubtedly the most anticipated battle of the entire game after 2018's Stinger, the battle between Thor and Kratos does not disappoint. After an initial encounter to repay a blood debt, and even breaking the fourth wall with their fight, Thor vows this won't be their last encounter, as he wants to fight the true God of War, and during the events of Ragnarok, Thor gets his wish. Thor continues to prove why he is so feared within the Nine Realms, easily taking many of Kratos' strongest attacks and simply brushing them off, constantly taunting the God of War throughout the entirety of the fight. Thor has a wide range of AoE attacks, and despite his enormous size, can easily cross the arena to deal devastating damage up close and personal. In the end, Thor got to battle the God Killer, but this is one fight that Kratos chose not to finish.
No more. For the sake of our children, we must be better.
Heimdall.
Oh. If it isn't Queen Mistletoe herself. Hilarious, by the way.
This fight was arguably more anticipated than round 2 of Kratos and Thor's fight. After having to put up with Heimdall's constant, arrogant mockery, we were more than ready to wipe that smug smile off Heimdall's face. After taking out his mount, Heimdall's ability to dodge every single attack is put to the test once Kratos puts the Draupnir spear to good use. However, even with this advantage, Heimdall constantly changes his attack patterns, keeping Kratos and the player on the defensive waiting for an opening. Even as Kratos attempts to spare Heimdall, the arrogant Aesir god refuses to stand down, regrowing his own arm to continue their battle and using his new arm to spray the battlefield with Bifrost attacks. Kratos finally shuts Heimdall up once and for all because it was necessary, not because it was written.
Brother! Brother! This isn't who you want to be!
Odin.
Looks like I gotta do everything around here.
Despite all of his plans and attempts to avoid Ragnarok, Odin ends up being the architect of his own destruction. With all the Nine Realms united against him and all his dirty laundry laid bare, Odin drops any preconceptions and unleashes his wrath on Kratos and Atreus for bringing Ragnarok to his doorstep. Like many climactic battles in Ragnarok, the fight against Odin takes place in multiple stages, each with the Allfather utilizing a flurry of elemental attacks, forcing players to constantly dodge and choose their moments for attack or suffer massive damage. Kratos and Atreus must use all they've learned up to this point to counter Odin's endless attacks and verbal assaults, but it is by far one of the most satisfying moments to finally force the Allfather to bend the knee to the God of War and bring an end to his tyranny. the Berserker King. Just because the Valkyries are gone, doesn't mean there aren't still cursed challenges waiting within the 9 realms. Whereas the Valkyries pose a threat due in no small part to their incredible speed and agility, the Berserkers use a much more brutal approach, and none more so than the Berserker King. An absolute tank with a massive health bar, and will easily shrug off Kratos' strongest attacks while literally knocking Kratos off his feet. The King mostly has the same attack patterns as the previous Berserkers, but with substantially more power behind every strike. Even as Kratos stays on the move, the King can easily overwhelm him with his flurry of attacks, many of which are unblockable. The Berserker King might call for Kratos to kneel, but it's Kratos who ends up coming out ahead in the end. Gná.
Traitor!
Gná. She's fierce. Attack only if you think we are ready.
Challenging Sigrun not only for the position of Valkyrie Queen, but also the most difficult boss fight in all of the Norse realm, Gná even gives Kratos and Freya the option to walk away before the battle begins. Gná laughs as Kratos' most devastating attacks barely put a dent in her health bar. Her speed and ferocious attacks mean that should Kratos slip up even once, his health bar will greatly suffer the consequences. She can cross the arena in an instant, deliver hard-hitting ranged attacks, and use nearly every elemental attack seen thus far in the game. Despite Freya's pleas, Gná refuses to back down, and uses all of her power to prove to Kratos why she is Sigrun's rightful successor. Even in the face of defeat, Gná refuses to back down and leaves Freya no choice but to finish it. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.